interviews of like all the rabbis, and like I've got like a list of everyone. I've got like code name because no one knows the Aish rabbis, so I just want to get to know like how everyone got here and everything. And then I've got like I came up with quirky names, and I was like trying to think of what I was gonna call which rabbi were you, and I was like, you've got the stature of like Commander Rabbi, but I really think you're like the Jolly Rabbi. and you've been here like one of the longest out of it.
Yes.
How long ago?
I came to Aish for a week in 1982.
Yeah.
I came for 3 months in 1984. And then in 1985, I came, and I'm still here since 1985. So 41 years plus a little bit, I guess.
Wow.
Long time.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And were you planning to stay that long, or was it?
The third time, yes. The third time.
How'd you get here the first time?
Yes, so I have a boring story. I tell people I should rent the story because there's always these really cool stories that they were in India and they met this guru, not like that. So we came from an identified Jewish family. My parents were proud Jews, but didn't know much, and we were, used to go to shul on the holidays and bar mitzvahs and things like that. But one of my older brothers came here in 1973 or 4, I forget, right after the Yom Kippur War, and he was at the Western Wall, and Rabbi Schuster, I don't know if you heard of Rabbi Schuster, he's famous. He spent many, many years, 30, 40 years at the Kotel, asking people if they were Jewish and if they wanted to meet a wise man. And my brother was one of them. And he said, okay, and he met Rabbi Noach Weinberg. This is before Aish HaTorah it was even created. It was at Or Sameach, which Rabbi Noach Weinberg was one of the founders of Or Sameach also. So my older brother got involved. I was 12, 13 years old at the time, but our family changed and got much more involved. So I knew there was much more to Judaism than my friends knew. I knew there was depth. I knew there was relevancy. I just, it was more than just custom, or I knew it was meaningful, but I was a teenager, so I didn't want to deal with it. When I got a little bit older and I started questioning things, when I was in my early 20s, then I got much more involved, and I came here gradually.
Whoa, so your brother kind of like started the movement?
Yes, my brother Shalom Shwarts. He's one of the 5 original students of Aish, or 6.
With Noach?
With Rabbi Weinberg, yeah.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So you obviously got to spend a lot of time with him. Do you have a random story?
Rabbi Noach?
Yeah, that you can tell us about Noach.
One thing that freaked me out about Rabbi Noach is he knew, first of all, he was one of those people that hippies loved him, Hasidim loved him, 10-year-olds loved him, 80-year-olds loved him. Like, it takes a certain talent to speak universally. He was non-Jews, he was able to relate. Usually you have a rabbi who's very learned, and a certain sect really gets into the very learned sect, or the very but he was able to, he understood that Torah is meant for everybody. He understood that everyone has a neshama, and he had a skill, a natural skill, I think, of talking to people that they could relate to his teachings and where they were at. It was amazing. So there's many stories, because I knew him when he was a teenager. When he used to come to Toronto, he used to come over to the house. My brother was studying in Israel already, so and he developed a very nice relationship to my parents over the years. He was. There's a bunch of stories. One story I tell in particular was that when my parents were visiting, when my parents were much older, and I was living here for many years with my family at the time. My mom was just diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. You know what Parkinson's is?
Yeah.
So it's a slow disease that just wears you down until she passed away. Unfortunately, there's no cure. And she just got diagnosed. She was okay, but it was the start of her sickness. And she came to Rabbi Weinberg. And I'll tell you 2 parts of the story. So she was a little bit down. And Rabbi Weinberg, who would call my mom by her first name, and they were very friendly over many years, he would say, Lila, that was my mom's name, Lila Schwartz. Lila, this is what you have to do to cheer yourself up. You have to listen to 3 jokes a day. Hear 3 jokes a day. He goes, I will start. I'll be the first one. And he told her 3 jokes, and she was cracking up. cracking up. I still remember one of the jokes today. I still tell it in Essentials. But he knew what to say at the right time. She wasn't in the mood for this heavy, like a deep, I understand. Listen to 3 jokes a day. And he was very sharp and quick with his humor. And so as they were leaving, my mom did something I never heard her say beforehand or since. She was my mom was a wonderful lady, but she said to Rabbi Weinberg, she said, "Rabbi, give me a blessing." And Rabbi Weinberg was not usually the one that people went to blessings. So it was, he would do it, but it wasn't like his thing. Give me a bracha. And I forget what Rabbi Weinberg said, but he gave her some sort of bracha. As she was leaving, Rabbi Weinberg says back to my mom, "Lila, now you give me a bracha. I give you one, you give me one." So my mom thought for a minute. She goes, "Really?" I go, "Yeah, I thought for a minute." She goes, "Okay, Rabbi Weinberg, may you continue to do the good work that you've been doing for the Jewish people." Rabbi Noach Weinberg looked at her and said, "Lila, I thought you were going to get me out of this mess, not to continue this mess." That's just an example of Rabbi Weinberg. He was the kind of guy, no matter who you are, if you had an hour to spend with someone, you wanted to spend it with him because he wasn't boring. He was always interesting. And, I just say it didn't happen. He used his time very carefully. But he loved life. He enjoyed life. He enjoyed people. And he was always looking and questioning people to grow in their own personal way. Based on the Torah.
Can we hear the joke?
The only joke I remember is, it's like this. A guy walks into a pet store and he sees there's a lot of parrots. He goes, "How much for that parrot?" There's a lot of different animals. What are the parrots he's interested in? He said, "How much for that parrot?" The store owner goes, That parrot costs $1,000. $1,000? Why so much?" He goes, "This is a very special parrot. This parrot can say the Chumash by heart. Let's see." And the parrot starts, "Bereshis, Bara Elokim," like rattling off the Chumash. Very impressive. So the guy says to the owner, "How much for that parrot?" He goes, "That parrot is $100,000. $100,000? What can this parrot do? This parrot knows all the Mishnah off by heart. Let's see." And the parrot starts rattling off the Mishnah. Finally, there's one more parrot. He goes, "How much for that parrot?" "That parrot, the cost is $500,000. $500,000? What can this parrot do?" And the owner says, "I don't know, but the other 2 parrots call him Rebbe."
Whoa,
that was Rabbi Noah's joke that he told my mom.
That's good.
You got to realize there's only a few good, clean jokes out there. So that's a good.
Oh, that's good. And then, on Rebbe, when did you always think you're going to be a Rebbe, or how did that happen?
Yeah, so I'll tell you one thing that really changed me. First of all, my brother eventually went into outreach too, and I saw what he was doing. I really thought was cool. But there was one incident. I was at the yeshiva for like 3 years, and I was back for Pesach, visiting my parents. I was a bocher here. I was living in a dorm studying. And Baruch Hashem, I grew up in a nice part of town in Toronto. We were pretty well off. I had parents that loved me. I had a pretty nice life growing up. And I'm with my friends who grew up in the same neighborhood that I grew up with, who were Jewish, but they were not observant. They never had the opportunity to learn Torah. And we were getting together, coming in from Israel, getting together with my old friends. And we sat down over coffee or something, about 6 or 7 of us. And each one is just kvetching. You know what kvetching is? They're just complaining. This one has, his car's not working right. This one, went to a restaurant and the service was terrible. They're all just kvetching and, they're all just complaining. And about their lives too, not just little things, but their lives. And I thought to myself, I never met so many people that had so much that thought they had so little. And I said, I know the Torah can help these people, and I want to be a part of it. And that's what, I remember that moment. And I said, that's how I made the decision, is what I want to do, because I know the Torah is a solution. The wisdom of the Torah is a solution for these people. And I want to be part of it.
Oh, that's cool. And then, yeah, what about someone that's like not part of Judaism at all, like grew up completely secular? What would you say to them? Like,
I would say to them, start thinking, what's life really all about? You know, this is a short period of time. You know, everyone's going to, you know, die sooner or later. What do you want your life to be like? Look around. Are people happy? You know, like, do you think there's some wise stuff in our tradition that kept us alive over all these years? You know, like, just take a second look. Start thinking about what you want out of life. What are you living for? What's satisfaction? What's freedom? What's happiness? And the Torah, by the way, it might surprise you, has the answers to these questions.
yeah, wow. That's cool. Man, it's crazy that you literally ended up running the essentials classes, like doing exactly what you...
Yeah, exactly. And I came in on essentials. It wasn't called essentials back then. It was called the beginners program. But, you know, and there was many people who ran it over the years, but I sort of did a few other things at Aish, including I worked for Aish in Boston for a couple years in the mid-90s. We moved to Boston for 2 years and worked on campuses there. I told my wife, who's my partner, and went along with all this, and all my children. And but I basically have been running essentials, I would say, from 1998 or something like that. Long time.
Whoa.
It's 2026, by the way.
Yeah, that's great. And then this is like the dream spot. Like you can't really go up from here. Like,
Yes. Well, in terms of spot of being exactly doing what I really care about doing and being in the center of the world, and certainly the center of the Jewish world in the Old City. I was lucky enough to live here with my family. I was 4 years in the dorms at Aish, and then 20 or so years with my family in the Old City. We lived here in the Old City. We moved out 15 years ago to the center of Jerusalem, but we lived here in the Old City for certainly 20 years or so. And I never tried to take that for granted. I really, when I was to walk the 30 seconds from my house to the yeshiva every day, I would focus on first of all, two things. Well, my grandfather, who I was close with, was from Poland originally. Thank God he took my grandmother and they got out before the Second World War, but his families were wiped out, my grandmother and grandfather's family. And they were like the old country people. They never talked English so well. And they were just wonderful, caring, loving people. And although he wasn't observant after he came to Canada, he grew up observant, it was always in his heart. They were just Jewish because that's just what they were, you know, that was my symbol. And I just thought about two things, about how my great-grandparents, and he used to tell me stories about his family, I'm walking these streets of the Old City just freely, going to an air-conditioned room. You know, it was their dream, was Shana Haba B'Yerushalayim, and I'm living their dream. And then I used to think, secondly, about all the wars and the soldiers and the people who fought, sometimes gave their lives for me to do this, to live peacefully in the Old City. And I'm just reaping up all their benefits. And I didn't want to lose focus on that ever. And I had a saying, a mantra, that I say to myself to this day. And that is, I'm an ordinary guy in an extraordinary situation. My only advantage is I know it. Don't let me forget that advantage.
whoa.
So that's and I try to keep that as much as I can because it's totally true.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing bit of advice. I was literally going to ask the last question. I was like, what's your bit of advice? But that's...
That works for me.
Yeah. That was amazing. Well, okay. Then last question. What is a aspiration that you have for Aish, or like to do essentials, or...
Well, Aish is, with the world and the history is moving so fast, and things are getting dangerous physically so fast too. That just to get the wisdom of the Torah out there for all people and all Jews, to make the world a better place. I once heard Rabbi Yaakov Weinberg, who was the older brother of Noach Weinberg, used to come here and speak, and he was a very big rabbi. He was the Rosh Hashiva of Ner Yisrael in Baltimore, and it's a huge network. And Rabbi Noach Weinberg, with his older brother, really considered his brother his Rebbe in the later years.
Whoa.
His name was Rabbi Yaakov Weinberg. And he used to come here and speak. I still remember one thing he said. He said, I don't remember the exact percentage. Let's say it was 95%. He said 95% of suffering is self-inflicted. What I mean? Attitude. You don't know what life's about. It's like, you just make things up to complain about. You have there's so many stupid little issues that consume people's lives. And they don't realize what blessings they have. And in a Torah environment and with Torah wisdom, we're going to change all that. That's my aspiration.
Wow, it's a Torah.
Okay.